Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today I will be showing you the easiest way to paint hair with acrylic paint. I will be including different hair types such as straight, wavy, curly, and coily. So if you would like to learn the 3 steps that I use to paint hair very easily, then please continue watching this video. So I'm going to start off by prepping all of my paints. I'm going to be doing brown hair for this tutorial, so we just need a really dark brown, a medium brown, and then a really light color for the highlights. As you can see here, there's really only 3 main steps, which is the base color, which is the middle one, the darkest color, and then the highlight. And then if you wanted to do transition shades, then I also put it for step 4. We're starting off with straight using the base color, and here we have my reference photo. Straight hair is literally the easiest hair to paint. And after the base has dried down, step 2 is to just take your darkest color and make some streaks with it. So we're focusing on the bottom area and the top area. And we're using these flicking motions in order to make the lines really thin and really look like hair. The reason we're not touching the middle is because that's where we're going to be putting the highlights. Now I'm just putting the base color on top once again just because I thought it was a little bit too dark. Now we're doing the highlights. So I'm using a smaller brush and I'm doing this very carefully so that we don't highlight the whole thing. I'm using very light motions. This is so that it doesn't look blocky and the ends are smoother and they blend in more with the background. And after doing that, I'm just using the base color again just to smooth things out and make it blend in more with the rest of the hair. And that is it for straight hair. Now for wavy hair, the same steps apply and they're also in the same order. To make sure that the waves don't look stiff, make sure you're adding variation to the sizes and the shapes of each wave. Some are bigger, smaller, skinnier, and they can go in multiple directions. Now for step 2, you're just going to take the darkest color and fill in all the empty spaces. Now I know that my paint here doesn't look very good. So if that happens, then you can just add more layers once it dries. Now you're going to be adding more dark streaks in the areas where the waves are a little bit like skinnier or more bunched up, because that means that they're more in the shadow and they're more hidden from the light. When you're making the streaks, you follow the same rules in the straight hair where it's very light flicks so that it doesn't look blocky. You also have to make sure that your brush strokes are curving in the direction of the wave. So make sure that they're following the shape, the C shape. And now it looks like there's more dimension and it looks a lot more realistic. So for the highlights, they are actually going to be much shorter and much more curved than they were with the straight hair. As you can see, I'm trying to be more careful. I'm really only putting it in the sections where we didn't previously put the darkest shade in. Make sure you don't put too much of this highlight because they're really only meant to be a highlight. It's not supposed to be the color of the hair. So if you do feel like you added too much highlight, which I will show you later, I would be putting more of the base color just to smooth it all out right here and to blend it in more with the rest of the hair. And then after that, if you think that it's a bit too light still, you can add more of the darker color. Yeah, so don't be afraid to make mistakes because it can easily be repaired because it's acrylic paint. So for curly hair, actually, the steps have to change a little bit. Not too crazy, but as you can see, for this first try, I was trying to do the base color and then I'm putting in the darkest color after that just to see if it would work, but actually this is not the way that you should be doing it. For curly hair, you have to start off with your darkest color first. As you can see, I'm doing it here right now. I'm covering everything with the darkest color, but make sure you maintain the form. Now for step 2, we're going in with our base color. As you can see, this is where I'm starting to make the shapes. I'm doing tighter C's, like tighter waves basically, and making sure that there are areas where there's loops because curly hair definitely has more loops. And again, feel free to change the direction of the curls. Lastly, for the highlights, I'm using an even smaller brush because the curls are much tighter and I'm only putting it in select areas. So definitely don't go too overboard with this. It's hard to tell where you're supposed to put it, but I would suggest just put it randomly and make sure you give enough space between each one so that you're not overwhelming it with all the highlights. Now, I'm sure you guys can tell why we had to change up the steps a little bit. This is because there's more texture in curly and coily hair, so there's more gaps or like spaces in between the curls that we have to address. So instead of having to fill in all those gaps, might as well just use the darkest color as our base. Lastly, we have our coily hair. So it's literally the same steps as the curly hair method. For this one though, because the curls are much tighter, I'm using kind of like a stippling method where I'm not really showing curls anymore. It's more like it feels like just like squiggly lines and being very light with your brush. I had a lot of fun with this because I got to play a little bit, have more fun, put all the coils wherever I wanted to put them. This type of hair texture needs more detail and intricacy compared to straight hair and wavy hair. However, I do think because this is just a simple way of painting hair, you're still gonna have a lot of fun and it's not gonna be too stressful. I'm just making circular motions and squiggly motions, and as you can see, it all looks like it's coming from the middle of the page. For the highlights, I'm using a really thin brush, and you can see that I'm actually drawing out every single coil. So this is not the same as before where I was asking you to just put it in random places. For the coily hair, you have to actually create all the coils in order to establish what it actually looks like. Just make sure that they're all relatively the same size and just don't forget to have fun. This is actually the most fun I've had in all 4 of the textures. And yeah, this has been the easiest way to paint different hair textures. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.